Hello, comic book collectors and enthusiasts. I'm Brandon, and you're watching M.O.N.Comics. Hey everybody, welcome back to M.O.N.Comics. This week I have a short mail call to show everyone of what I got in the middle of nowhere, and then I have some books back from the cleaner and presser I use, Jeff at Comic Spa, and I wanted to show those before I send them off to CGC for grading. There's some cool books. I'm really excited about this submission to go in. So without further ado, let's get to this week's mail calls. Well, I got hit with a nostalgia bug big this week. I was doing my usual shopping on Whatnot, and I realized I could probably use some 80s movies books that were adaptations from movies. I grew up in the 80s and 90s predominantly, so there was a lot of great movies that got turned into comic books. The first one that grabbed my attention is The Last Starfighter. The movie came out in 1984, and the comic came out shortly after that. You can see this is one in a three-part series. So I look through this, and they are breaking the movie down through the three books. And then this one is just the start of the story. So for those of you who are uninitiated to what The Last Starfighter is, this was a movie about Alex Rogan, who lived in a trailer park with his younger brother and his mom, and his girlfriend also lived there too. And there was a video game called The Last Starfighter, and he was the best at it. And one night he breaks the high score, and the whole trailer park's there cheering him on, and it's just amazing, and he's really good at it. Well, little did he know that that video game was a recruitment tool used by the Frontier, which are the good guys in space, to recruit people that would be able to actually fight in the gunships. And Alex was the best on Earth. He had the top score. So they come down, they bring him up to space, they tell him it's all real. He has to fight against Zur and the Kodan Armada. And it's just a classic 80s movie. I loved the creatures in this. And it was a cool story, and I really enjoyed it. And the nostalgia in comic books is real for a lot of us, whether it's books we had when we were growing up as kids that are classic comic book characters such as X-Men or Fantastic Four or SpiderMan, but also movies can hit that nostalgia too. So that was the first book I picked up. Really cool, brings me back to my childhood and watching this with my friends, and wanted to pick it up. The next book is an 80s classic. It is actually the 30th anniversary of Labyrinth. I don't know if, again, if many people have seen this watching my channel. It is an 80s movie, but it is a classic. Jim Henson did this. This was back before CGI existed. So this was done primarily all with puppets, with the exception of Jennifer Connelly played the lead role of Sarah, and David Bowie was awesome as the Goblin King. And the movie story behind this was that she wishes the Goblin King would come and take her younger brother away, and he does, and she regrets it immediately, and he's like, you can have him back if you can get to my castle in the middle of the Labyrinth at Goblin City. So she goes on this adventure, and, you know, there's Ludo, there's the owl, which Jareth transformed into, Hoggle, Sir Didymus, they're all on there. And I was, as a kid, I wanted to be a special effects producer or maker of special effects, if you will. And this movie was profoundly influential to me because it was all done with puppets, basically. And it looks so good. And so this is the 30th anniversary edition. It came out in 2016. Labyrinth came out in 1986. And this is like a compilation of short stories all done by different writers that showcase the creatures of the Labyrinth. So really cool. I remember going to the video store with my dad and renting this in VHS and just falling in love with it. I mean, my friends all loved it and watched it. So those are my two movie nostalgia pickups. Next pickup I had, Avengers Curse of the Man-Thing, #1. Not a movie yet, but I saw this. This is the most modern I'll probably go. Obviously, I'm a huge Man-Thing fan, and I like the Avengers too, so I saw this, and I was like, oh, that'll be a cool book to read. And these books were purchased from Nova Collectibles 22 on Whatnot, and he had a Buy It Now show, and it was really cool how he did it. He had all his books in the Buy It Now, literally hundreds, and I scrolled through, and I picked what I want, and I sent him a DM and said, can you bundle these for me? And yeah, he bundled these books for me and gave me a good deal on them. And so I was happy to pick this up. Again, I don't do much modern, but if it's got Man-Thing on it, I'm a sucker for it. But I want to read the story and see what he's up to in this issue. So very cool from Nova Collectibles 22. And he also threw in a very cool Black Adam #4. Again, I'm not much of a modern person, but maybe I'll give this a read and see what's going on with it. So, very cool. Happy with the small pickups this week. I have much more coming in next week to make a video with, so stay tuned for that one. Next, I'm going to go over the books that I'm actually about to send off to CGC. There's 6 books, 4 were Whatnot, 1 was Instagram, 1 was Facebook. So I just wanted to show these off and show you, like I said, Jeff from Comic Spa is a wizard. He made these books look a lot better. Some are in the highest grade, but they're keys, and I really wanted to add them to my collection, and I thought to preserve the older ones, these Silver Age books, I would get them graded. So the first one up is Fantastic Four 53. This came on Whatnot from a store by the name of Shrinkies. They have a lot of great Silver Age and older books. This is the second appearance of Black Panther and the first appearance of the Claw. Of course, played by Andy Serkis in the Marvel Universe. But always loved this cover. Thought it was very iconic. And just really wanted to go after the Black Panther, early Black Panther, if I could get him. This one was at a great deal, so I wanted to pick it up. So Jeff did a great job of bringing the gloss back. There are some issues up top with it and around spine ticks and such. So it's probably a mid-grade copy, but that's okay. Again, it's old. It will be preserved in a slab, and the cover is just a great piece of art. So that is the first book. The next book came from Fuzzyfatmancomics on Whatnot. It is Fantastic Four 54. Love this cover. Love the characters' faces on the side. This is, of course, the third appearance of the Black Panther. Very good condition on this one. Probably, again, another mid-grade, maybe a 7, 7.5. I do have the estimated grades that Jeff gave, as well as the CGC forum that he posts in under, hey, buddy, can you spare a grade? So I will be revealing those at the time that I get these back from grading. So I will just save that for later. But off my memory, I think this was a 7 or 7.5 estimate. But really cool cover. Human Torch popping right out of the cover. Third appearance of the Black Panther. So I'm down to just getting, you know, that 52. One of my goals for 2023. So very happy to have that in the collection, and I will be sending that in with these other books to grade. The next book came from Louievice on Whatnot. Amazing Spider-Man 122, Death of the Green Goblin. Big key. I bought this in 2014 at New York Comic Con, and then I sold it, and I regretted it ever since. It was when I got out of comics, and now that I'm back in, this has stayed in the collection forever. So, awesome, awesome Green Goblin cover. Of course, 121 was the death of Gwen Stacy. Spider-Man's got her there. A lot of issues with this book, too, but Jeff did a great job bringing it back as nice as he could. Again, I got a good deal on this, and before, you know, cleaning and pressing, it had even more issues, but Jeff worked his magic, and I'm hoping for a pretty decent grade on this one. Even if it's mid, I'm fine. I just want this slabbed and in the collection with the other Green Goblin books I have. Next up is Marvel Presents #1. This came from a gentleman off of Facebook. I just was in a group, and I said, hey, I'm looking to get a high-grade copy of Marvel Presents #1. And this guy reached out and said, here you go, man, I got it. And we settled on a price, and I was very happy. First, Ulysses Bloodstone, who made his kind of debut in Werewolf by Night, the Disney special. However, he was dead in that one. I really hope we get to see him alive fighting monsters in his earlier years. Beautiful, beautiful book, except the top staple isn't attached. So what would have probably been a 9.2 is going to get dropped down. But awesome, awesome cover. I wanted to add this to collection to go with the Man-Thing theme from Werewolf by Night. You know, Ulysses Bloodstone was in that. I need to get Werewolf by Night as well. I want to get his first appearance and just keep adding to that because I really loved that special, and I'd like to have the people that were, or creatures that were featured in that special. So very cool book. Not a crazy high value one, but love that monster cover. I'm a sucker for monsters, and that'll be great in the collection. The next book came from a seller I bought from before by the name of Cosmic Cat 99. It is House of Secrets 105, a classic Jack Sparling cover. He did other work on a few House of Secrets, Secret 6, House of Mysteries. I've always loved this cover, and it's really hard to find in a high grade. And I went into the stream and asked them about condition, and it showed the book like 3 or 4 times, and I finally just went and pulled the trigger on it because other people were starting to ask about it too. So I would say it's funny with this book, when you have a 9.0, the last sale in fair market value was like $95. But if you hit a 9.2 with it, the last sale was $323 a few days ago. So huge value difference. Again, I'm not too big on the value. I'd seen this book before, and I love the people fishing and this skull there with the dragonfly. It's just a beautiful cover for not being a pre-code horror book. So happy to add another DC book to my collection. I'm high hopes for this. This is the one I'm hoping will grade the highest, and I think will grade the highest based on everything. The last book I have to show, I had been wanting to pick up for a while, or the genre for a while, if you will. It is a pre-code horror book. It is Crime Suspense Stories number 9. I got this from my buddy James, Robotmonsterisland on Instagram. I reached out and I said, hey James, what do you got for pre-code horror? I really want to get something in the lower grade. He's like, I got this. I estimate it to be a 4.5. We settled on a price. More than happy to have it. So pre-code horror, if you're new to comic collecting, this is from EC Comics. This was before the Comic Code Authority started checking books to see if they would have a bad influence on the young. And they were allowed to put a lot more gruesome and gory covers. Now with pre-code horror, a lot of the value, besides condition, because this is now the oldest book in my collection. This was 1951, so this is a 72-year-old book. Looks pretty good for the 72 years. So besides finding them in a good condition for their age, it's also about what's on the cover. So is there bondage? Is there someone chopping someone's head off? Acts of violence, skeletons. That's what really drives up the value and the desirability of these books. This cover was done by Johnny Craig, who is one of the big pre-code horror artists. This is a classic cover by him. And it also has his bio in this book, which I read into. It's a compilation of short horror stories to do with crime, and it's really cool. The other ones are all economy grade, so I'm going to be able to fast track and get them back within 30 days. However, this one is bigger than a regular comic. It is a magazine size, so it's going to take, even at standard grading with the cost I pay, it's going to be like 70 days, they said, because I called them on it just to make sure that it was a bigger size book because it falls under magazines. So I'm going to have to be a little more patient, and this will be a reveal in another video. But super pumped to finally have a piece of pre-code horror. I want more. They are not cheap. They're pretty hot right now, and I'm trying to focus on my collecting goals and not jump down this rabbit hole. So if I happen to find any more in at a reasonable rate, maybe I'll consider it, but I'm happy to have added this one too. So that's it for this week, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do like the content that I'm producing, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Leave me a comment down below. Which book did you like the best that I'm going to have graded? Are any of you into pre-code horror? Do any of you like Fantastic Four? Any of the books I showed off? Just, are you a fan of anything? Do you guys have anything you're sending out to CGC for grading right now? I'd love to hear about it. Until then, I'll see you next time.